Hi, this is Chris. Welcome to video number 7. Today I am making a birthday card. I'll be using my Moleskine watercolor paper pad, my pointy 14 size round brush, and those watercolors that are handmade watercolors by Poppy Jasper Paints. They are in Etsy. You can buy them in Etsy. And some black ink for the calligraphy part. For this one, I started very loosely. I didn't even put in any guidelines or anything. I just started on straight out writing what I wanted. And the reason for that is that I had already done another card. I just didn't like the way it turned out. So I decided to do it again. And I found it was a little hard to write on this paper with the pointed pen. And to be honest, I'm not a big fan of this Moleskine paper. It doesn't work that well. So yeah, so I started writing, and I didn't measure anything, and I ended up with very little space at the end there. I was aiming for a balance between the two ends. So one way that I have to account for that is just to add more design elements to the space where I have more space. So here I am just preparing my paint. I prefer to use a palette like that so that I don't get a lot of pigment all at once, so I can have a little more control and make sure that the paint is actually mixed well with water. This is the best way. And when I was mixing the paints, I thought that I was going to use a lot of colors in this card, but you'll see that in the end I decided not to do that. And again, because I had already done one, this balloon, I went straight on with it. Usually I would have, well actually no, I did do a layer of just water in here, but the water was drying very fast. You know, I think the air here in my studio was pretty dry that day, so the water wasn't just hanging around, it was drying very fast. So I just went with it. I kind of had a general idea of what I wanted to do here with the balloon, but I had no real plan. And this looks a lot different from the first one I did. What I didn't like about the first one was that I was aiming for purple, but I couldn't get purple the way I wanted. So it ended up looking brown and muddy. I did not like that color. So for this one, I said I'm just going to use clean colors and just the colors themselves. And this brush I'm using, that's a new brush I got. I finally went to the store and looked up for a brush that had a very fine point, and you know, like this one here. And I have to say that made all the difference for me. I was able to get those thin lines without having to switch brushes. You know, this one is around 14, and it's I don't know what the brand is. I think it's Masters Classic or something. It's a generic brand that you find at Hobby Lobby. It's not even that expensive. It's synthetic, but it made all the difference. And here I'm just using the other brush because I wanted to lay some water, just plain water on the paper to form the next balloon. This yellow is so vibrant. I really like this yellow from this set. With this particular paper, I feel that the watercolor doesn't really doesn't work. I don't know, it's a weird feeling. It's like it doesn't spread well, it doesn't behave the way that I expect it to behave. You know, like when I'm doing some sort of a wash like that, I like to see the watercolor flowing and mixing with whatever is above it. Like, you know, I like to see a nice gradient, and that is not happening with this paper. At this point, I felt like there was too much white space above the balloon, so I figured I would make a couple more balloons there. Taking advantage of that little point, and that's new to me. I saw someone doing a demonstration on florals, and she had like this big round brush that had a very fine point, and I tried to do some of the florals that she did, and my florals were not coming out the way that she was demonstrating. And because my lines, the ones that were supposed to be very thin, were showing up very thick. I mean, not very thick, but they were not thin enough. So I assumed that the reason that was happening was because my brush didn't have a fine point. And so I went on a mission looking for that particular brush with the very fine point, a round brush with a very fine point like that. So we're getting to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, there is a little button on the lower right of your video. If you could click that and subscribe. And I hope to see you next week for another project. Thank you so much. Bye.